All right, let's review the Real Time with Bill Maher episode from last night. A few moments that we pulled, and the first couple, mocking of Trump, fantastic. We'll also get to some that irritated me. But here, I really do think Trump dreads when people, or the idea of people bringing up Melania's absence on the campaign trail, her absence with his legal trouble, standing by her husband's side. That doesn't happen. And the fact that she doesn't seem to be even that excited about supporting his candidacy, which you would think would lead some voters to believe. If his own wife can't even support him in a meaningful way, why should I? But here's a funny moment where Bill Maher mocked this.
I believe here at Real Time that when you look at people's Google searches, it does reveal a lot about them. For example, Melania Trump Googled, do felony convictions invalidate a prenup?
Yeah. No, right. I got that. But we did yes. Okay. Corporate is breathing down my neck. I don't want to have to say this again. I know I've done it too much. But if you could please click the subscribe button, that would be fantastic. 2 days ago, we got 10,000 subscribers. Yesterday, we got 6,000. That's still incredible. That used to take weeks and weeks and weeks. But let's see if we can do another 10K subscriber day today just by clicking that subscribe button.
RFK Jr., where does brainworm poop go?
So, and the shot at RFK Jr. there is also funny. You know, whenever we go some period of time not talking about RFK Jr., I forget that he's running and that he could play a pivotal role in swinging the election one way or another with the amount of votes that he siphons away. And I'm reminded of how aggravating it is that he's choosing his own sort of ego, his own pursuit here over, as I would see it, the country, over just uniting around the one pro-democracy candidate in this race who has a shot of winning, which is, of course, President Joe Biden. And again, I think some people downplay, going back to the Melania part of this, the significance, just a joke there, but the significance, really, of Melania Trump as her husband is facing some of the most monumental situations in his entire life, his freedom on the line. And we've not seen her once show up to the courthouse and stand by his side at those press conferences or whenever the verdict was going to come down. And so, yeah, his children would come and yell outside the courtroom about this being a witch hunt. But it is notable, and it's perfectly acceptable for us to call attention to the fact that she's nowhere to be found. And if the roles were reversed, you know Fox News would be running with constant stories about where's Jill Biden? If she can't even support Joe, how can we? Here's another moment of mocking Trump.
So the prosecutor gets up and says, no one is above the law in this country. It doesn't matter who you are or what your name is. And all the Republicans stood up and fist pumped and went, yeah. And then they went, oh, wait. Yeah, that's not what they were saying last week, was it? Interesting, in April, they took a survey. 17% of Republicans said it was okay, only 17%, okay for a felon to be president. Now they took the survey again, 58% say it's okay for a felon to be president. Gosh, what happened? And
Yeah, and there what he's talking about is at the Hunter Biden trial. Because Hunter Biden right now is being prosecuted by, as the right wing would say it, Biden's DOJ. And he's being held accountable legally. But somehow Biden's using his Department of Justice to go after Republicans and protect allies of his. You would think his son would be on that list. But no, he's staying separated from that, letting the DOJ act independently as he should and not interfering with the Trump stuff or with his own son's prosecution. Now, Hunter Biden's prosecution relates to him purchasing or allegedly trying to purchase a gun whenever he was still using drugs, still addicted to drugs, which is a violation of the law, and thus he's being prosecuted. And in court, it was said that no one's above the law, I guess, by the prosecutors. And so the joke there is very on point, which is that you'd think Republicans would hear that and go, yeah, that's right. Even the son of a president isn't above the law. And then you remember that they've sort of given up on that when it comes to Trump. They've given up on the idea that no one's above the law because, well, Trump should be above the law. And I say again, if Democratic Senator Bob Menendez is being prosecuted by Biden's DOJ, if Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar is being prosecuted by the DOJ, if Biden's own son is being prosecuted by the DOJ, maybe the conspiracy theories about Biden using the DOJ just in his interest is not actually accurate, and Biden actually respects the rule of law, so he wouldn't interfere in such things, whether it be related to Trump or his own son or powerful Democrats. Then here's a moment that I disagree with, and it's still about Hunter Biden, but Bill Maher saying that the laptop from hell, as Trump would say, Hunter Biden's laptop, as the right wing obsessed over for a bunch of times, said it had all the proof of the conspiracies of Biden working with Hunter to do all this enriching of themselves that they never end up being able to prove. And Bill Maher says of that it doesn't prove those things, but maybe it proves that Joe Biden is a bad dad.
But right about it, that was wrong. And the right is wrong to pretend it means something, except possibly about Joe Biden's parenting. The question I want to ask, because I know your book is about it and you've written about parenting, okay, why do all the political families have this ne'er-do-well fuck-up family member? Is it just because they're famous? And if we went into every family that have a Billy Carter or Roger Clinton, George Bush himself was the ne'er-do-well fuck-up family.
Since the beginning of time.
So I've actually heard this before, that, okay, sure, maybe all this stuff's not true about Hunter, working with his father to benefit Hunter businesses, blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe that not true. Republicans investigated for months and months and months and couldn't find it. So maybe so, but I do judge Biden, people will say, for the behavior of Hunter, whether it be his drug addiction, whether it be this purchasing of a gun when he wasn't supposed to, or anything else. And that's an indictment of Joe Biden's parenting. And I think it's a little bit off to say that, given the context that Hunter Biden comes from. It's a tragedy, but it's not super shocking, or at least you would understand leading a life for some period of time that is not ideal because of the grief you're dealing with about being in a car wreck where your mother and your sister died, which is what Hunter Biden experienced at a super young age. It's not shocking that someone with that experience at a young age, in a pivotal time in your life, watching your mom and sister die in a car wreck, you would end up having struggles. So that's, I think, the takeaway, less so than Biden being a bad dad. And within the context of that, I think from what we see, Biden's been a perfectly fine father and definitely a better dad than his competitor, Donald Trump. You can say that for certain. Then here's this.
Carter or something. I mean, he goes. That's what the Republicans do. They go where you wouldn't expect them to go. They come here, they're not afraid. They're not afraid to take their message to the people who don't agree with them right off the bat.
I mean, it's one of the things that's always puzzled me about those who proclaim themselves to be defending democracy all the time. And I know that they oftentimes are or think that they are, but actual democracy is going out everywhere and trying to get people's votes. And populists, left or right, tend to be pretty good about that. Bernie Sanders will go anywhere, too. He's a left-wing populist, but he will go on Fox News and do whatever.
You're right.
And Trump will do that, too. And that's to his credit as a politician. And in the process, the coalition that votes for Republicans is changing.
Yeah, I am just really annoyed, and maybe this is me being really sensitive about this topic, but when people frame any argument, if it's not a really compelling one, as, wow, the people who say they love democracy, talking about those who are opposed to MAGA and for Biden's reelection, for democracy, those people, do they really? Because the same people, what? they're saying that I guess they don't think Biden's done enough rallies and off the beaten path compared to where you're normally campaigning or non-swing state places. I don't understand what the argument is. And Bill Maher, I think, is giving too much credit to Republicans. That's what Republicans do. They find a way to get to places, and it works so well, except for the fact that they've lost at so many turns when they weren't expected to over the last few years. Maybe they're not this genius political force right now. And then same thing with Trump. The reason why he campaigned in, for example, the Bronx, which is part of what they're referring to, is number one, he was close because he was stuck in New York a lot for his trial. And also he loves this narrative that he could even win in places that are super blue that you never expect. But he's not going to win there. So what's the point? There's some strategy to getting a lot of press attention when you go somewhere that you're not expected to. But the criticism of Hillary Clinton was she didn't campaign enough in some of the swing states. So then if Biden were to lose in key swing states because he was off campaigning in places that he wasn't expected to win but were sort of unexpected, and he's not afraid to go anywhere, I think there would be a huge criticism of him. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. But apparently that's some hypocrisy, that people who love democracy also think Biden should focus on the states that are going to make the difference in this election and not get too distracted as Trump is doing, campaigning in areas that he's definitely not going to win. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments, and you can get access to members-only content, the daily bonus show, by clicking the join button below.